The ancient Egyptians established one of the most amazing civilizations in history. Their rich culture and remarkable works that have stood the test of time were only possible thanks to the blessings of one of the gods that shaped the world. In the beginning of everything, there was only a giant chaotic ocean called Nun, and nothing else. But in these waters, a great pyramidal mound emerged. At the top of this mound was a lotus flower, which, when it blossomed, unfurled a strong light that spread out and scared away the darkness. The source of all this light was Ra, the sun god. Ra was alone and begot the first generation of gods. Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of rain, were born. The universe was still dominated by the immense mass of primordial waters. Shu and Tefnut plunged into the waters to explore their immensity. Ra was distressed to find that his children were not returning. Fearing he would never see them again, he sent Hathor to find them. Shu and Tefnut returned safe. Ra's joy was such that the tears from his eyes gave birth to human beings. After returning, the descendants of Ra begot Geb, god of the earth, and Nut, goddess of the sky. This is how heaven and earth were created. The great god Ra ruled the universe sovereignly, with the title of the first pharaoh. The god offered Egypt several sacred animals, such as the ox and the lion, but his greatest gift was the creation of the river Nile. Around its banks, man would build a civilization to please the gods. In his human form, Ra was worshipped by the Egyptians as god and pharaoh. But as he grew older and his glory faded, men began to worship the serpent Apophis, which angered Ra. Ra ordered the lioness god Sekhmet to organize a great slaughter to punish the men. Many of those who survived Sekhmet's attack drowned in the flood of blood that followed. Ra's earthly reign seemed to be nearing its end, and he retired to his solar boat. In it, the god traversed the skies during the day. But during the night, he would enter the underworld, the realm of the dead. In the underworld, he faced the serpent Apophis. Each sunrise meant a new victory for the god over darkness. The gods Nut and Geb gave birth to a powerful offspring: Isis, Nephthys, Seth, and Osiris. They would take over the government of the world, while Ra reigned in the heavens. Osiris went on to reign over the world, occupying the throne that was formerly Ra's, leading humanity to civilization. But the throne of the new god was not secure, for his brother Seth wanted to take all the power for himself. This was the beginning of the saga of the gods of Egypt. After replacing Ra, the deity who gave birth to the Egyptian world, Osiris became the new supreme god. He chose Isis as his wife and began a new and prosperous reign. Osiris showed civilization to men, who until that moment lived in a primitive way. The god taught them agriculture, weaving, and how to make bread, and also to use laws that would give order where before there was only chaos. Egyptian civilization began to flourish under the reign of the kindly god Osiris. But Osiris had a powerful and ambitious brother, Set. His kingdom was situated in the arid desert surrounding Egypt. For this reason, Set envied his brother, who had a fertile and prosperous kingdom. Osiris had an affair with Nephthys, Set's wife. From this union, Anubis, the god of the dead, was born. Enraged by his own brother's betrayal, Set set his revenge. The god of dry lands and the personification of evil invited Osiris to a great feast in his honor. During the feast, Set presented the guests with a beautiful coffin, showing himself available to gift it to whoever would fit into it perfectly. Osiris was invited to test it. Soon after settling in, Set closed the coffin and locked the god inside. The evil god ordered the coffin to be thrown into the river Nile, putting an end to the life of the Lord of Egypt. Isis mourned the loss of her beloved husband. The tears flowed into the Nile River, giving rise to the traditional floods. The goddess and her sister Nephthys searched for the body of Osiris. After finding it, Isis tried to hide it. But Set found the body and quartered it into 14 pieces. The cruel god scattered the pieces of Osiris all over Egypt. Isis, with the help of Anubis, managed to recover all the pieces of her husband. Anubis united these pieces of the god and embalmed Osiris's body. With her divine powers, the goddess resurrected her beloved. But Osiris went on to reign in the world of the dead. After coming back to life, Osiris had a son with Isis. His name was Horus, who vowed to overthrow Set, the usurper of the throne that was rightfully his. Set, the god of destruction, had murdered Osiris, the reigning god of Egyptian mythology. He took his brother's throne for himself and initiated his reign of terror. Osiris, however, had begotten an heir together with the goddess Isis. His name was Horus. He was a falcon god, and it had been prophesied that he would reign over the heavens and bring back the light over Egypt, thereby ending the darkness brought by Set. As an adult, Horus decided to reclaim his throne, usurped by his uncle. This strife would bring even more chaos to Egypt, and so it would be tried by the gods. It was decided in the divine court, presided over by the solar god Ra, that the one who was worthy to sit on the throne would have to conquer several disputes, and so the duels between Set and Horus began. Set had the affection of Ra, since the usurper was protecting the solar god from the serpent Apophis while he was traipsing through the sky. The desert god proposed a challenge to Horus. Both of them were to become hippopotamuses and remain submerged for 3 months. Horus expected that his mother, the goddess Isis, would take advantage of Set's vulnerability to kill him. But the goddess did not have the nerve. Therefore, she was powerless to attack her brother. This treacherousness angered Horus, who attacked his mother, chopping off her head. The god Tot, a deity of knowledge, saved the goddess by putting a cow's head instead of the old one. The quarrel between Set and Horus lasted for many years. As they fought in the desert, Set managed to pluck out Horus's eyes. With the aid of Hathor, the goddess of love, Horus got his eyes back. The heavenly court of the gods required Set and Horus to reconcile. The malignant god, while feigning goodwill, invited Horus to a feast in his palace. But overnight, Set tried to abuse his nephew, rendering him undignified for the throne. Yet Horus managed to fight back and prevented the god from spreading his poisonous seed. Horus then decided to take vengeance. With the assistance of the goddess Isis, the god placed his holy seed in lettuce leaves, offered to Set by the goddess Isis. The god of the barren deserts devoured the tainted lettuce unsuspectingly. Envenomed, Set started to wilt in plain sight, and from his forehead a glowing disc burst out. Tot grabbed and fixed it on her own head. Set was embarrassed, and finally, after 80 years, the court granted Horus his birthright throne. Isis could not have been any prouder to see her son with Osiris assuming his father's throne. Set was bound to travel with Ra in his solar barge, and his raucous cries were audible through the noise of the thunder coming from the sky. This is how Horus's reign over Egypt started, and among his descendants were all of the pharaohs who once reigned over Egypt.